Well, hello, Commandos, and welcome back to the Creature Commandos Podcast here on DC Studios Podcast. I'm your host, Andy B, as always, and joining for as always is my good old co-host and my brother from another mother, Lip. How we doing tonight?
I just pulled a Venusaur in Pokemon TCG Pocket, so I'm fucking exceptional right now.
There you go. I don't know what any of that means, but I understood the word Pokemon, and that means he's happy. I'm more of a Digimon guy myself, so
Oh yeah. There you
yeah.
go.
And joining us again for episode 5 is Jedi Mike. Mike, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed, highly favored. Strength and honor, my friends. Strength and
Strength and
honor.
Honor.
exactly, yeah. It's so it's funny because on the last episode I said that oh, this episode's coming out on December 26th, so happy holidays. I didn't realize, no, that's a week too early. This episode will be out on December 26th, so this will be our this will be technically the last episode for 2024. And gentlemen, I mean, again, it's only if we're as we're recording it's December 6th, so there's still a couple more weeks to go, but this has been a very interesting year, just as a DC superhero consumer in general.
If as a DC fan, it is a good time to end this year off on a good note, on a great note. At least with acknowledging the past, appreciating it, appreciating the present, but also preparing for the future and being optimistic. I think again with Phil in his review, same with Creature Commandos. There's one thing that was very crucial about that was talking about not to subvert expectations and saying hey, we can't just say this is just a home run, even though this is a good show. No, just terms of hey, the universe is set in stone, everything great. We need to know how James Gunn's Superman is going to be, and we have time for that as we get into hell. We don't even know if they dropped the first trailer by now of this recording. We don't even know.
If it did, we will let you know on the next episode.
Right. So
it will be 2025 next time the viewers watch episode 6. That will be in 2025.
Correct.
So yeah, so I'm just saying that at least as just a DC fan, just in terms of content, Superman, Lois, the Penguin, and now we have this show as well. Again, yeah, we are in a good. I think we're in good hands currently right now. Is now we just have to move towards the future, slowly but yet progressing in the right direction. And then again, just enjoy the ride, and yet but also be honest as a fan base when things come up, and give a constructive criticism so we can be better, because we've been down this road before. And I'm a person that wants to stick it for the long run, but yet at the same time, being in this industry, we need to be honest about this content that we're consuming, especially with these characters that we love and this universe of characters that we love from the comics and everything. So, because this for us, this matters, to us. So I have hopes in the high direction, everything. And again, with James's interviews, as we mentioned in previous interviews and stuff, that I'm loving what I'm hearing. So, but not to get overly excited. So, but
Yeah, it's I mean, it's as because we're coming up right off the people, at this time in the timeline, people have only seen episode 1 and 2, but still the reaction has been very, very strong, very positive. Right now on if I go to Rotten Tomatoes for Creature Commandos, it
Be at
again,
93%, I think, last I checked.
it's a 94% internal reviews and
94%.
80% with users, or the popcorn bucket or something.
Audience
Oh
score.
yeah. So this is a very good win. We're seeing a lot of good reactions, and I'm like people from Black Nursing, which is a Ricious good time. The 7-episode series is truly a blast to watch and rewatch. From Total Film, one of the most fun experiences I've ever had watching a superhero anything. And from AV Club, Creature Command isn't exactly fresh, but at least it's fun. And from discussing film. Creature Commandos does enough to warrant a viewing, especially for fans of the lesser known DC who get now a chance to shine. We have Tessa Smith from Mama's Geeky. What up, girl? Talking about Creature Commandos is a very clearly James Gunn brainchild, and I'm so here for it. And yeah, so there's lots of a lot of strong reactions coming in. And my buddy Josh Wilding from Comic Book Movie says Creature Commandos is arguably at its best, delivering bloody and maniacal fight scenes. And there's some maniacal fight scenes in this show, and so we love to see it. And in the world of news, it's the time that we're recording, it's very light. And James Gunn did have a very interesting response to something on Fred. Somebody had asked him if it was true that Superman is reportedly to undergo a few days of additional shooting in Los Angeles, and James said, and I quote, "Sort of. Not a few days. We're doing a day and a half of pickup shots, no scenes, no reshoots, just a handful of individual shots to enhance the film." So there you go. And because we know in in this fandom, whenever the word reshoots or additional filming gets brought up, people start to panic. It's funny how when Marvel films are doing reshoots, they're just so they're chill. They're chill about it. They don't really they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna add more cameos or post credit scenes. But with DC, it's like, oh, it's the end of the world. So I don't get this. I don't get this double standard. Liv, you any thoughts on this?
I think to that point, I've seen a little bit on threads of people being like, "Oh, this is the comparatively," like they would show the Rotten Tomato score to Man of Steel compared to this, and I'm just like, this is fucking stupid. This doesn't make any sense at all. And to your point of people just freaking out over things being reshot, especially when it comes to DC, it's like, I think Justice League and the production of Justice League really put a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths, regardless of whatever side you fall on in terms of that movie. Just in general, when people see that word reshoot DC film next to it, it's just an automatic oh, it's in trouble. And it's like, well, Suicide Squad and Justice League, directors aside and whatever personal things they were going through, that entire process of how those films happened and leading up to the theatrical release, it really did stain a lot of fans' anticipations, and even has kind of almost stinted their view in terms of how these movies get made going forward. And I think James Gunn even had to come out and say yeah, this isn't anything major. We're just doing a day and a half worth of pickups to kind of enhance the movie. And it's like, okay, cool. That means he's done his assembly cut. He's probably cut it. I would have to imagine that trailer is coming sooner rather than later. I guarantee you that trailer will probably be here before Christmas. And I think if he's going to reshoot anything, it's going to just maybe take a shot that looks kind of janky in his assembly cut that he wants to keep in there, and he's just going to fine tune it one more time in one round. And if it's only a day and a half, which is pretty par for the course for him, because I don't think he's ever had to, had heavy reshoots ever in any of his projects, come to think of it. And if they did, again, it only amounts to a day and a half or so, if not. Typical practices, they're already built into the budget anyway. So to me, whenever I see it, I'm just like, okay, this is fine. This isn't much to everyone else's chagrin. This isn't Captain America: Brave New World, or this isn't the Marvels. This isn't fucking Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. There's a more
Blade
comparison.
Blade.
Well, you have to film the fucking movie before you reshoot it, my friend.
I know. I'm just saying production hell.
Production hell. Yeah. Or even something like The Flash.
Yes.
Productions like those don't necessarily instill confidence for upcoming stuff. But I would just posit that, given that DC Studios is an entirely new entity, this will be the first legitimate made production in live action form from James Gunn, from his team at DC Studios. And this is not Warner Brothers. This is a completely different set of people. This should be, I think, viewed with a little bit more of an open eye, as opposed to a blinders on kind of perspective.
Yeah, you said that, and you mentioned with Marvel, Star Wars 2 put a sour taste in people's mouth in terms of reshoots. Remember with Rogue One with Solo,
yep.
As well. It just it both had put a sour taste. But you talk about Marvel, you absolutely right. There were reshoots happening, like even in phase 1 of Marvel.
Thor: The Dark World. Phase 2, yeah.
But speaking on that one, Thor: Dark World 2, everyone act like, that was bad, but that's bad for a reason for that, even logistically. But again, I think, and it's just part of the industry that I think people just want to choose to be ignorant of, because this has been explained before many times. And I think, again, with certain situations with films, we've got to be we'd be biased in terms of, like, we'll let this studio slide, but this one we're gonna be overly critical, because, like, how dare you have reshoots of a film even though I never directed a damn thing in my life. But anyway, yeah.
These damn armchair executive producers acting like they know all about making movies. It's hilarious.
Yeah, just focus on being executives and don't try to be filmmakers. Like, it's just, you ain't here for this, so it's just, I don't know, it's just been funny seeing how, like, as soon as something happens with a DC product, that people just utterly, like, think that something must be wrong, where it's like Superman had a smooth filming process. They wrapped on time, just like they expected. The only thing that really got in the way for Superman was just the strikes, which is why they announced all the castings right before, like, I think, like, the day before the actor strike, started, so that they're like, we have our actors, we like, the script is ready, we need to wait out the strike. And yeah, like, again, the fact that they're doing one a day and a half, I'm just like, guys, calm the fuck down. Like, it could have been something like the weather was maybe not great when they were filming this in Atlanta or in Cleveland or in Norway that they will also, maybe they're like, they're going to shoot something kind of just to add to it. Like, again, it just feels like when you're a DC fan, like, people are just trying to root for DC to lose, so, and it's tiresome, and I'm over it. But gentlemen, with that said, let's get into episode 5 of Creature Commandos season 1, and it's called the Iron Pot.
Yeah.
Lip, you want to kick us off with what to discuss?
Well, I mean, there isn't a lot going on in this episode, but there's a little bit going on in this episode. It's kind of a, I wouldn't say stagnant one, because we're kind of in place, like, Flag and Frankenstein are kind of off doing their own thing, trying to figure out, like, who this professor is, whereas the commandos are back in Pakistan, and they're like, okay, well, we have our mission, we're going to pull one over on the Pakistani army, and we're going to assassinate the princess. But Rick Flag is like, no, to hell with that. Like, I know this girl, even though he really doesn't. But, like, it's just like we're there in these 2 points in time in this episode. And this episode also shines a light on, like, Frankenstein's backstory a little bit too, and, like, him understanding, coming to understand, like, kindness, emotions, and things like that, even though the end of the episode kind of uproots that a little bit for him in a certain way. And it to me, this episode was cool, but I think it's the one I think about probably the least. Not really sure why, but it just to me, it's just like there wasn't necessarily anything of much importance, at least to me anyway, in this episode that kind of, like, made me go wow, except for the reveal that Dr. McPherson is Clayface. That's about all there is to it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Phil. It's like this episode, again, it's not, I don't just want to say it's filler. It moves the plot along, but it's just not into the extent as the previous episodes, nor the upcoming episodes and stuff. But I think that's fine. Again, like, the fact that we had a moment with a reveal like that. Now, when we saw the show, I had no idea. I told, like, Clayface completely just went off over my head, and I'm just like, wait, who is that? Shaking there, I was like, wait, is that like, that's Clayface? I had no, like, knowledge about Alan Tudyk even voicing him or anything, so that was a genuine surprise. And I thought it was dealt very well, especially he was giving the Arkham level, like Arkham City level, Clayface of it all, like, in terms of, like, hey, in this DCU. We're gonna have, like, comic accurate, Clayface monster type, and let's say if a Matt Reeves Batman did something like that, it's gonna be probably more classical, something different.
Basil Carlo.
Right, exactly. So it's like it's gonna be something a little bit different. But this was like, yeah, this is the meta human type of character. But yeah, I thought in that fight definitely was really entertaining to see. Now just be interesting to see how Rick Flag recover from those injuries. As we see how
Yeah.
long recover from that. Like, no, you should be dead, bro. But
Oh, this is
yeah,
not. Well, this is not the MCU. They're not gonna waste Frank Grillo like that.
yeah, right, exactly.
I
Like they
said what
could,
I said, Kevin Feige. Stay mad.
but either way, it's like I think this one definitely, just like to your point, Phil, like it's starting. What this episode also do is like it starts how the threads turn to unravel with Munson's team with misinformation, and also who knows the truth and who doesn't, and also how these different perspectives are coming in these heightened situations and escalate into horrible consequences. I think that this is a seed that's being planted and will continue on in the coming episodes and everything. But yeah, I think again, it was interesting to see like terms of how Clayface was this person that was in disguise this whole time, and it was smart. I felt like a way like, okay, what character you would do? You're not going to use a Martian in a Martian Manhunter. You're not going to use other characters. Like, no, that makes sense, especially someone from a Bell Rev prison or something like that could be connected, like canonically. That would make sense. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I would say like I don't feel this was filler because again, we're getting good and important information, which again, like we get a lot of stuff with Frankenstein, for example. Again, I mean, I love David Harbour, so I'm getting, I just love getting to hear him more as this character, and and it's a very, I mean, it's a very brutal backstory he has, like especially for that old woman at the that he meets, and um but yeah, and also, but now we're also starting to see, other characters starting to get, like this other information of like, well, what are we doing? What are we supposed to do? And who we're supposed to actually go after? And I felt that, with Clayface, it was funny because like, they had said it in the trailer, they had revealed in the trailer that he was in it.
Right.
But I remember thinking like, well, who's this voice? Because I wasn't really sure at first who it was. And so, I waited, because what's so good with these screeners that they actually come with credits.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can scroll through them and like look through them and like, oh, it is Alan. So like now he has lots of DC characters to play in the DCU, and he's a great actor. He can do a lot of variety of things. So yeah, I mean, if we see if we see Clayface in the Brave and the Bold, it's gonna be fun to see how Alan, like how he talks to this world's Batman and the Bat Family and things like that.
So there's two Batman villains now in Creature Commandos. You have Clayface and you have Dr. Phosphorus. I feel like am I missing one? I feel like there's one more.
Well, we know Talia and Rage are going to be out there.
Right. But I mean, specifically in this series, I feel like, was there one that popped up somewhere else? Or am I just, oh, I know who it is because they were shown beforehand. It's Rupert Thorne. Yes. They announced that he was going to be in the show. Yeah. So so far in this show, we know we are getting 3 Batman villains, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah. So
even though every other character, like Rick Flag was a staple in the Suicide Squad, Bride and Frankenstein are from Agents of Shade, and Weasel again from Suicide Squad, and G.I. Robot goes all the way back to like Sergeant Rock and a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of a mixing pot of like a little bit of popular DC with a little bit of like underrated, underutilized DC.
But that's what I love with James is that he takes some of these smaller characters that we don't really know much about. Like again, like when I said during our advanced review, I think we said it in the 2-parter we did, is that like I didn't know the name Creature Commandos until the day it was announced. I'm like, and again, I initially thought like, isn't this just the Doom Patrol but for World War II? And and obviously now I'm starting to see very much that this is these are very, very different teams. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there's good, like again, even though this episode kind of slows things down a little bit, there is good info to get out of this. It's not like, like if you miss this episode, then you're gonna miss crucial things that go on for the final 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the last episode, you're on such a massive high from what Cersei revealed, on top of, you know, the trauma that you saw the Weasel endure. So this is like, you know, almost tame in comparison, but not really, because what you see Frankenstein go through in terms of like getting himself back together, healing, and like, you know, kind of trying a better way to understand what emotions are like, and having, you know, a sense of empathy, a sense of understanding of like, you know, having to figure out like how a shotgun works and things of that perspective for him is just very like, you know, it's almost like the 180 of how you saw Victor Frankenstein teaching, you know, the bride how to like be. This is him understanding like how to be in a very different way, even though like the thing that drives him is very much like, I want my bride, and that's literally like the one thing he's just dead set focused on for that character. And I think that's like tragic in a way, but also kind of a massive component to this character, and what makes him almost super interesting. And when you've got an actor like David Harbour just delivering these lines so eloquently and acting like it's intentional that the character thinks he's smarter than he actually is, so he's coming off, you know, at the tail end of the previous episode, he's having that conversation with Rick Flag about, you know, oh, have you seen the Titanic, have you seen, you know, this movie with Brad Pitt, whatever. And it's just like, yeah, he legitimately thinks that like he's like a real person, but at the end of the day, it's like, no, dude, you're a composition of a bunch of dead parts brought back to life. Like there is a life there, but is it really yours? That is the question. And it's very interesting just to see this character like finally find a friend in Rick Flag. Because if you go back and look at the entirety of the series, like, he's pretty quick to just kill someone if they even like say something against him. He's just like, oh yeah, boom, boom, snap neck. And it's like, oh, fuck, holy shit. Mm-hmm. But Rick Flag is like the first person where he's just like, oh, you're like me, kind of. It's almost like an epiphany for him of like, maybe I really am like not alone in this world. This guy is a lot like me in a specific kind of way. He just wants love in the same way that I want the bride to love me.
Yeah, I felt with, again, like I mentioned, I think earlier in the episode, when we first get the interaction between Frankenstein and Rick Flag, again, it's just nice to see at least that camaraderie of like, okay, listen, like this dude just lost his son, right? And like, and nobody's not even thinking like, hey, I know you're a soldier, but like, I just treat you like a freaking.
But also, not just to interject just quickly, like think about the fact that he's working for the woman who essentially is responsible for getting.
Is responsible. He doesn't even know it yet, and he doesn't even know it. Yeah, currently, right now, and which is even more sad. And like, and so yeah, you have someone who's an idiot and, you know, might be a psychopath and all that stuff with the Frankenstein, but at least you having someone that's being somewhat compassionate and buddy with him, we internally might needs that but won't say it. So even like after this whole fight with Clayface again, it was like, okay, yeah, you at least have somebody at least trying to have his back in that moment and stuff like that. And it was just kind of like you're just thinking internally, and you know, that's what I was thinking about while watching this scene. That much as like, yeah, these guys can be idiots and they're banter with each other, like put things in perspective, like where is this character at currently in his life right now?
Yeah, you know? And I mean, yeah, I think also that because Frank Grillo is just so damn likable, that I'm like, you know, like you can't help but root for him. Yeah, that, you know, and also because I feel like there's also like a little more of a, you know, more like humanity to Senior as opposed to, I think Junior was very closed off, and I don't say that as a bad thing because I loved. Trust me, I was with Lip too when Peacemaker killed it. I'm like, you motherfucker. Oh, by the way, as a reminder, cussing is allowed on this podcast. And see, this is why we need Vanessa, because Vanessa always makes sure that it's like pointed out in the beginning of the episode, like cussing is allowed. So, you know, fucking deal with it. But I love the fact that Senior is like, he is more like, he's not like, I thought that Senior was gonna be a more hard shell, you know, in comparison to his son, but it's almost the other way around, which I think is very interesting. And I don't know if it's because Grillo like delivers it with like an emotional kind of beat and his voice delivery. But yeah, you know, it's, but also just, I mean, Rick and Eric are like, they're just the funniest pair up, like, you know, throughout this episode. And, you know, like the thing that was, I will say that because when I saw that David was going to play Frankenstein, I was kind of worried, like, is this just going to be like DC's Red Guardian, because I feel like they're just kind of making Red Guardian. Like, again, I love David as Red Guardian, but I also kind of feel like he's kind of like the slapstick joke. But here, like, Frankenstein is a complex character. He is definitely a stalker. He is 100% a stalker, but like, he does, he's not a regular human being. Like, he's created out of someone else's messed up mechanics, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting twist on a character that sorry, I knocked over my soda. Not actually, was that open? That wasn't open. Sorry. Yeah, he's an interesting character because like him and the bride are like two sides of the same coin in a sense of creation, but when it comes to personalities, they both just go in very separate directions, where you have like, the bride is very much just like, leave me the fuck alone, like I don't want anything to do with you, and if you mess with me I will blow your fucking head off, if not break your arm. And you've got the Frankenstein, who's more or less like any other chud you'd run into on the internet, simping over some hot girl posting a thirst trap picture, except the difference is he's actually pursuing her and has been pursuing her for years and years and years and continuously gets his ass kicked, and he's like, oh, but please love me. It's almost like Pepe Le Pew and the cat in a weird way. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Pepe Le Pew and the cat, the old Looney Tunes cartoon. That's very no, okay. Pepe Le Pew is this, he's this skunk who pines after this black cat who he thinks is a skunk, and it's very creepy. It's very like, like he does his damnedest to like, smother the cat with affection and love and all this shit, and the cat's just like, get the fuck away from me, I don't want anything to do with you. It's very, very similar to the Bride and Frankenstein. Very similar. And I think with excuse me, I think with David Harbour again delivering the lines as he kind of bounces a little bit in terms of the way he delivers lines, because at some points he's very like, humble and very like reserved, and then there are other points where he's just very enraged and very like angry. And if you're familiar with the original story of Frankenstein, that's kind of on point for the character. At some points he's very childlike and very curious, and then at other points he's just the monster. He's filled with ferocity, savageness, and just very unhinged. And I feel like David Harbour's version of the character is a beautiful combination of the two. He does it really well. So to your point, yeah, he's not doing a Red Guardian Redux, and I hope to see one day maybe he'll get in the makeup for it. Like maybe we will see a live action version of Frankenstein somewhere down the line. I hope we do.
Yeah, he's like the more accurate, like out of all of them. Like to me, like that, like I can see aside from the Bride, that I can see like in real life is like, I want to see how you're going to apply this live action wise. It's not just his physique, but also just in terms of his mannerisms of how he carries himself is going to be different. Again, also comparing like the Red Guardian, and I agree. I think that hopefully, like when we get more stories involving him, that we kind of get a more emotional range to see more. Like, yeah, we already seen it, but to get more of it, to see how complex he is.
Yeah, for me, because I think at this point, by the time this episode is out, I think this interview will have been published. But when I spoke to David Harbour for Screen, I even asked him like, do you have an idea in your mind like how you would want to approach this character in live action? And I think right now it seems like they're like, I think he does have it, but he's probably just he's waiting probably to hear when James needs him next. But like he definitely seems to be very eager to get into live action. Whenever possible, and and there's a thing like because this dude, he was literally, I think he's still like, when I was talking to him, I think he's still like, he was still in the process of like filming season 5 of Stranger Things. Like this dude is like booked and busy. And in fact, he's already now joining a big franchise like the DCU as a very unexpected character, because who knew that we would see Frankenstein in DCU and also like see him this early. So yeah, again, but that's the thing, like we have such a likable cast of characters with Creature Commandos that I'm like, yeah, I want to see them in and out of animation. I want to see them like, I'm hoping that we're not gonna have to wait for too long when we get further into chapter 1 of seeing, like, well, for example, like Lib, I didn't even know this was a case. Like, I didn't know Dr. Foster was a Batman villain. So I'm like, well, that means that now there's a natural reason why Dr. Foster could, have a cameo in The Brave and the Bold. Same thing with Clayface. And so So yeah, but let's see, what else should we um yeah. So Aiden Pakal said, man, these guards make it so obvious. They like, with all their like them just trying to delay the command. This is like, you're so obvious on the on the evil side, but you're hiding it so poorly with all these like lame excuses, like, and we can't run the car like this. We can't do this. I'm just like, like, bees are for fucking real right now.
It's funny you mentioned that because like not only do they make it superbly obvious, like even the bride's just like, the castle's that way. Oh, I know, we're going in vastly different direction. We're taking a shortcut. And it's like, no, the fuck you're not. You answered your phone very deliberately. Everyone in the car looked at you funny. Like it's very clear what you're trying to attempt to do. And then when they're found out, I love that Dr. Phosphorus is just like and punches through the seat and just explodes this guy's head. And then they're all like met with the Kolstan army and they're having to fight their way through this all. And then everyone like has to split up and find their own way. It's a very, very interesting way to split the team up, I think. Even though on paper, like when you think about like how the story unfolds, yeah, it's a little by the books, but at the same time, like I think when you have such great actors and actresses giving compelling performances, it makes the material a little bit more digestible. That's just me though.
Yeah, I think again, just seeing just the facial reactions to it again, it's just moving the plot forward with that. But like, yeah, it definitely was obvious what they're giving. But even when this character was introduced in the first episode, just like who he is, his personality as a guard, it's just like, yeah, he's not to be taken seriously, even when he's joking, or trying to be sarcastic, hiding. Like, no, you're insanely obvious, which is stupid. But yeah, yeah, and so. But yeah, I think they played that. But yeah, Dr. Phosphorus again, still his we keep talking about live action. I would love to see how they do this with his powers like live action. It just and he's like he has more like cool looking powers in terms of this is like, man, how you play on that? So yeah.
I was talking to Andy about this. Like, if you think about it, he's probably the strongest one on the team.
Yes.
Like yes. When you really think about it,
what can actually kill him? Like, like I can't think of anything.
Like
because
even
bullets would just go. No, they wouldn't even go through.
He disintegrates them. He just straight up, he disintegrates them. And then like, the Bride and Frankenstein, like, they're brought back to life. But at the same time, it's like he singed Cersei's face. And like we saw Frankenstein get fucking burnt and float up a river and become unconscious. Like, they may be like superhuman, but they're still comprised of human body parts. Like if Phosphorus really wanted to, he could set them both on fire and just like kick them into a fucking pond or something. Like he there is really no stopping him outside of the fucking thing in his neck. Well, okay, yes, he probably is the strongest one on the team, but even still, like he got his ass kicked by fucking Rick Flag. He's arrogant. Like Dr. Phosphorus is strong, but his arrogance will probably always be his downfall no matter what.
Yeah, and I think like we'll get to see where that comes from. And but I think with this character being the strongest person like on this team, again, it's very apparent. But I think also too, just like he's also very like trigger hungry, if you would call it. Like always be quick to like, I'm taking him out. No, wow, second thought. And so then you like realize like how dangerous is this person, but yeah, I think let's see how complex he can be, in terms of his aggression and everything like that, but his quick thinking.
But we see towards the end of the episode that poor Rick is just.
Well, how does he get there, right? Like they find out that Clayface is in fact posing as McPherson. Like they open up the episode with like her posing as like him posing as her and trying to teach a class of Themyscira, and he goes, he's asking these students like, what do you think about Themyscira? And they give him straight answers, and then he's like, nope, you're forgetting the lesbians. And it's like, okay. And when you like, it's really easy to be like, oh, of course James Gunn would write something crude like that, but it's like, okay, hold on, wait a second, think about the context in which it's being presented
at a university,
Clayface is posing as a teacher, and of course it's fucking Clayface. Of course he's gonna think in such a fucking two-dimensional way of like, oh, Island of Women, they're obviously lesbians. Like that is such a Clayface thing to do. But I promise you, those people who hate James Gunn go, see, he's crude. See, he's bad writing. And it's like, no, you're just angry for reasons.
The very thing that we commend the boys for,
Yes.
right? Is very
it's only okay. It's not okay when James Gunn does it. It's okay when anything else does it. Like if Zack Snyder was doing those fans, or anyone who's like either a big Snyder fan or just anti-Gunn in general, they'll be like, give him his flowers.
Master level, give master class and everything. But we're here. But the part about it was also people get pissed off about it. And the same thing that the boys do it is that it's funny because it's real. Like, because we know people or like seen people that have done stuff like this. And so again, when you explain that part of reality in a show like this, even though it's supposed to be a role of the mystical, but at the end of the day, the best attempt to make you relate to these characters or relate to this world is also reminding you of the world you live in, right? And so even the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just the dumb, stupid shit, it just. And that's the thing, and that's the authenticity that not just, and I don't want to give James his freaking credit. Like any writer that does that make references in terms of our culture, not just in terms of making it just a joke. Like, no, this is what they're talking about now. This is where we at. People are talking about like the boys talking about critical soup theory and all this stuff like that, right? And it's like whether you guys are like you roll your eyes about it, I'm like, but that's conversations they're having. And so, and whether you want to call it parody or just call it damn, it's reality because this is what's happening, So, but yeah, I think we're just giving him too much credit on this because like this is what you want a writer to do to relate in terms of the world you're living in. It's a way that at least the opportunity you might not know where it's coming from that you're relating to these characters or this world,
Absolutely. And like again, when it comes to like characters, context, all of that, like I just thought of a situational funny moment in this episode where like they hear McPherson roll up, like they think it's McPherson, but they know that because they see the dead body, it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna find out who the imposter is. We need to hide. Rick Flag's like, hide, and fucking Frankenstein just stands in front of the empty bird cage. He's like, fine, and just so fucking nonchalant about it. And Flag is like, really? You think that's not noticeable at all? And he's like, oh, fine. And then he like falls to the side by the bed, and you can still like kind of see his shoulder. And Flag's just like, whatever. Just if James Gunn is funny, and he can be funny, but sometimes I don't think he can be all that funny, but he can be funny sometimes. This was one of the moments where I found what he wrote was funny. Definitely, you got me. He got me this time.
Right.
I'll admit that.
Well, again, so where are we at in this episode right now? Sorry,
we were getting to the point of like how Rick Flag got fucked up, and like we should probably get to how he got fucked up, right? So they find out it's Clayface. Here's a fun nod. So when we find out it's Clayface, did you guys catch what game he's playing on the TV? Mortal Kombat.
Yes. I love that Mortal Kombat is like getting like, because I know in Super Low is like when in the pilot, like, Jordan is like playing like Raiden or whatever. So, and I'm just like, I love that like Mortal Kombat has this like presence across DC products. I think that's genuinely funny.
Well, once upon a time, there was a video game called Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe.
I know. Wasn't that great, sadly.
Really, you didn't like it? I thought it was.
I found it. Like in comparison, because I loved it, but it was just too easy to finish. That's the thing.
I don't disagree, but I think the idea in and of itself is a good idea.
The idea is great. I love the idea of it. I just was like, it's already over. I finished this in 2 days.
Yeah, I think the experiment was fun, but they really refined themselves with Injustice, and it's like, okay, well now we've even seen a further refining of Mortal Kombat. Can we try this again, please? Like because they've seen their mistakes. They saw what works and what doesn't work. You could easily see like an Injustice Superman fighting, you know, a Scorpion or a Sub-Zero. Wink, wink. They've done that in Injustice. So it's like, come on, can we please like get this with maybe some of these fucking Creature Commandos? Because could you imagine like a fight between fucking Frankenstein and Solomon Grundy?
That's a
Bro,
that's a
come on.
or like Dr. Phosphorus.
Man, that listen.
Dr. Phosphorus versus,
Okay, how about the Bride versus Black Canary?
That
Dr. Phosphorus versus Firestorm.
or Atomic Skull. I mean, we keep forgetting, or that Batman. Like it's, I listen. I think first of all, you made like Solomon Grundy. That's a whole nother like. Would they actually get to that route? That'd be interesting. But yeah, I think having those pairings of those characters again would be great because, but also some type of like similarity to them as well. Not just talking about their physical, like physique and everything, but their characters. Like, you know, this is a great banter that could happen. You know, yeah. That's almost just like playing with your toys, almost. But it's like it's nice to have some of those moments, and you know, in this universe, you know. So
I need one more character, and that's GI Robot. I need
Me too.
I need
GI Robot against Red Tornado
or Robot Man from Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Oh, GI Robot would beat his fucking ass because, like, listen, I love Cliff, but like Cliff is not, you know, the most brilliant character of all time.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's easily like I try to put more opposing threat.
Cliff doesn't have guns that come out of his hands. I'm sorry, like GI Robot is infinitely more boss than Cliff from Doom Patrol, and I love Doom Patrol. I do. I think all those characters are fantastic. But if you're going to give me any character in Doom Patrol to fight any of those characters, I'm going to either lean towards Negative Man or Crazy Jane.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah,
maybe
Crazy
Dorothy.
Jane.
Maybe Dorothy.
Mm-hmm.
Go for anyone who hasn't seen it. Go catch Doom Patrol streaming on Max.
Rest in peace.
Anyway, let's get to how Flag actually gets fucked up.
Yeah,
because so they find out Clayface is playing. They find out it's Clayface. He's playing Mortal Kombat, and they try to sneak down the stairs. But of course, Clayface is just like, the fuck you are, and totally just goes ham on
the fuck you are.
He goes ham on both of them, and it's like, oh. Well, we saw Rick Flag beat the shit out of Dr. Phosphorus, but when it comes to just some giant shape-shifting metahuman like Clayface, Rick Flag don't stand a motherfucking chance.
Absolutely not. And I love how you did not make this person like we already saw that what they did with the Bride and Nina's character and stuff like, you know, you're easily, which is again, it'd be interesting how he does this with Superman. So I'm looking forward to that. Like, you know what his character's power level can be and everything, and it's like no. Let's actually put this person through the ringer with a character that they can fight or they can lose to, and be actually fucking like realistic with this. You know, I shoot your the fishbowl head and everything. Yeah, your water's out now. You're suffocating. Yeah, makes sense easily. Yeah,
or even like Cersei versus the Bride. She's like, oh. You fight with your hands a lot, use your hands a lot. I'm going to turn them into inflatable arm tubes.
Oh, that was right. That was still so insane. We're not already show.
That's what Thanos did with Drax, you know, and Mantis, you know, with Reality Stone and stuff, Infinity War. Like, yeah, it happens.
True.
Yes, it does. And like, you know, they've done a great job at showing like all of these characters aren't exactly super invincible. Which, you know, we've seen Frankenstein get caught on fire. We've seen the Bride have her arms turned, inflatable tubes, beaten the shit out by Cersei. You know, as soon as Nina loses her dome, she's out of the fight. GI Robot got blown apart by Cersei. You know, the only one of them you don't really see get too fucked up is the Weasel. And that's because he literally weasels his way out of everything. Zing. It's just like, and I guess Dr. Phosphorus.
You're proud of that one.
Very much so. And Dr. Phosphorus for sure, like, got the shit kicked out of him. But at the same time, it's like if he really wanted to, he could just fucking blow everyone away if he really wanted to. But you know, like I guess the point I'm making is like you see these characters as, again, like not invincible, and I think that's the point, because when you have such invincible characters, they become so much more difficult to write. So
yeah,
it's the strength of the series, I suppose. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Okay, so when
No.
Clayface broke Rick Flag's back,
I fought Nightfall.
That's exactly what I was getting at, because it was very much like boom, boom, and just like he fucked him up. He straight fucked his shit up, and not in a fun way. And I remember watching this for the first time, just being like, well, he's gonna be fine if he's gonna be in Superman, but how? Like, how the fuck does he recover from this shit?
You got that
Only
super
more-
soldier serum.
If only no, keep Marvel out of this.
It's called plot. No, it's called plot. That's the yeah. The super soldier serum.
If only there were 2 more episodes of the show. But yeah, even I was kind of like laughing a little bit, going like, I mean, like, it's hard to take this, like, you know, I'm like, listen, because I'm protective of Frank Grillo. I love Frank Grillo. Like, he's an amazing actor. Also, he hot. But I was kind of like, we know he's gonna be back next year. So I'm like, why am I even? You know, there's nothing to be worried about. Like, he's gonna be fine.
It's Spider-Man after Infinity War going into Endgame and Far From Home. It's like we know he's gonna be fine. It's like that. You Dilfy piece of shit.
I mean,
that line just makes me laugh, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, was he lying though? I mean, is he not a Dilfy motherfucker?
It's the white. Listen, it's the black and pepper. You know, it's the of it all. You know, that's what it is. Like, hey, listen, I don't know what's gonna happen. No, I have a little white sprinkle in my beard. I'm like, you know, so it's like. You're right, you know, exactly.
Somewhere
and only a few people can play that off, though. It's like, you know, we're not gonna be like economists, you know, with the you know, dying
and shit. Yeah.
Beard, you know.
Did you guys even see that? Like his beard is like all red here, but then there's like a little white patch right in the center.
Yeah.
That shit was so funny.
I'm just. I mean, I'm just happy for Steve because I know when we talk, he was like, I mean, he was like nerding out about like getting to be animated and stuff like that. You know, who wouldn't be? You know, but gentlemen, is there anything else we want to talk about this episode?
You know, the ending kind of threw me for a bit of a loop because Frankenstein just fucking kills the old lady and walks the fuck away. I was like,
yes, right. Because at first I thought the lady was the same person. And like for a second, like I was just watching, I was like, wait, is that the same person? How did she be? And then like, wait, we're in the early 60s, 7. Like, what? How old is she? You know, but then it's like, oh, it's just somebody else, but looks exactly like her in some form. I'm like, okay. But I don't know. There gotta be some explanation to that. But yeah, that was kind of abrupt. Like the fact that like he still has to hunt his bride, but then it then just kills her, like old Yeller style. You know,
literally, yeah. Like he old Yeller.
But the dog, the dog got out,
and it followed too.
I mean, what was he? I mean, you know, it's better. I mean, I guess that's better than him going in and discovering that his owner's dead.
Didn't he walk in the door anyway? Though, didn't the dog walk in the house?
I thought the dog went. I thought the dog went with him.
Maybe I'm misremembering it. It might have just went with him out the gate.
It went
because the door was closed, and then, you know, he was like, you know, like scratching, like
he was scratching. He was already outside.
Yeah. And you know, the commandos are all split up, and then you know the princess gets a phone call, and she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to kill the commandos then."
As one does.
As one would. I mean, if I was in her position, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, but you're a position of royalty. You don't know why they're trying to kill you. But then you know what I mean. So that's we'll see where that's going to get revealed.
Now the dynamic has shifted from, you know, Cersei's trying to kill her to now the commandos are trying to kill her because they think that Cersei's vision is, well, at least Waller thinks that Cersei's vision could come to pass, and she's like, oh, I'm in the business of keeping the whole world safe, and we're going to do it by any fucking means necessary, and you're going to go here and you're going to fucking put a bullet in this princess's head. So
yeah, I'm not, you know, she's like, I'm not putting up with no nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
I see what you fucking did there, you cheeky son of a bitch, you. Ruffle them feathers. Ruffle them feathers all you want. I see what you're doing. No, I think Feathers are not going to be ruffled, but they're going to be happy come next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
I got my turtleneck
yeah.
for a reason.
because following the structure of the show, we get, each episode following the premiere, each episode has predominantly been like a backstory for everyone that is a creature. The first episode was the bride, the second was GI Robot, the third was so the second episode was bride, third was GI Robot, the fourth episode was Weasel, this episode was Frankenstein. There's only 2 left. Now we have Dr. Phosphorus and Nina Mazursky. So it'll be very interesting to see how, that conversation goes next time, and, how people are going to react to the next one. And I'm not going to say which one it is, even though we all know which one it is, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because that's just part of the fun. But it's going to be very interesting to see, how people react to this episode, because I've made it known on a few other videos and other places that, like, between the 7 of them all, 3 and 6 are my favorite, and I will just leave it at that. I don't know what you guys have to say, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to what's down the pipeline. But we do only have 2 episodes left too. That's the bittersweetness of it.
Yeah. We only have 2 more episodes. I mean, we have so much more to do with DC Studios. So, it's and now that you both are part of it, so you guys are gonna have, we're gonna have a lot to discuss next year. But I think this might be a good place to wrap. So, Lip, where are you on social media and your other projects you'd like to promote?
Just there, everywhere, unfiltered, except for X, because I'm not on X. Fuck Twitter.
He will make sure that
for every single time. But I'm on YouTube, Vero, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. You guys can catch my live show that I do every Friday called Friday Phil. I do usually hold it around 4:00 every Friday Pacific Standard Time. You can catch me here with this gentleman over at Multiverse of Color, where we write a whole bunch of different shit. And of course, this gentleman down here, we're all part of Multiverse of Color. We all do a whole bunch of cool shit. And, I'm writing for Skeleton Crew. I'm doing this show as well. So you will probably see my review for this one when this episode drops as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. I also have a Batman podcast called The Eternal Night, where it's me and my friend Craig and a couple other people that I've brought in from time to time. We just talk a whole bunch of Batman shit. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Thanks, Andy.
Bless you. Mike, where are you at on social media and your party you like to promote?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok as well at Jedi Mike 7. I got a ton of videos of movie reviews, TV shows, interviews as well that I have as well. I just interviewed Kelsey Grammer for Frasier that I'm posting that this weekend and stuff from taping this recording. But yeah, I got more reviews coming up and stuff like that. Also Social Blue as well. I just recently done that, but yeah, just follow me on there. You also see me more here, Multiverse of Color. Also, you'll see me and Phil working more together and everything. So you'll be seeing our faces more often. So yeah.
You will get to see less of me, thankfully, everyone, and you will get to see people you actually want to see. So it's all good. You can find me at Andrew Pine on all social media. I'm a senior writer and interviewer for ScreenRant.com. And at this point, I think all of my Creature Commandos interviews should be up by now, as well as all my Superman Lois interviews, and of course news coverage I do there. I am the editor of Multiverse of Color, but I'm not doing this by myself. Check out the entire team's amazing work they do here on the site. And while the show's still on hiatus, when hopefully in early 2025, the Showrunner Whisperer is going to come back, which is an MOC original. So, but you can listen to the first 10 episodes with all the showrunners I've had on so far, as they share their experience of being a showrunner and what it's like to work in this industry and running TV shows. So, in terms of this podcast, again, the plugs are so long. We're going to make a clip at some point so that we can just play it. Because here's the thing. I've been podcasting about DC TV for 11 years now, and done a lot of plugs. I'm tired. This throat is tired. Like, my vocal cords are not what they used to be. So if you want to subscribe, of course, subscribe to these YouTube channels. Links in below. Follow the podcast and Multiverse of Color on all the social media links down below. And get ready for 2025 because we're it's about to get crazy. So if you're watching this on December 26th, happy holidays and wish you a happy new year. And of course, we're just getting started. We have lots of things to do next year, and hopefully by now you will have seen or not seen a Superman trailer. Depending on what happens. But happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you in 2025. Enjoy Creature Commandos in the meantime. Peace.